Imagine this, you've just won a trophy, the fans are singing your name, and the champagne hasn't even dried off your suit jacket. The next morning, you wake up to a phone call, you're fired. Welcome to football, where being a manager is like sitting on a chair made of broken glass. Today, we dive into the weirdest managerial sackings in football history. From managers who got sacked on the toilet, to coaches who lost their job for being too successful, this is going to get wild. Buckle up, because some of these stories will make you laugh, and some will make you question if football is actually run by people who know what they're doing. Football is ruthless. Managers arrive with big dreams, tactical plans, and sometimes even instant success, only to be thrown out like yesterday's newspaper. But some sackings go beyond ruthless. Some are just weird. Imagine winning the Champions League, and still being sacked. Imagine being appointed manager, only to lose your job 10 minutes later. Or picture being dumped by your national team just 2 days before the biggest tournament of your life. Today, we explore the most unbelievable, most shocking, and most downright strange sackings in football history. This is the weirdest managerial sackings explained. Leroy Rozier, Torquay United, 2007. Let's start with the fastest managerial reign in football. Leroy Rozier was named manager of Torquay United. Big moment. Interviews, photos, handshakes, he was ready to start a new project. But before he could even take his first training session, the club was sold to new owners. And the new owners? They wanted their own man in charge. Time as manager, just 10 minutes. Imagine updating your LinkedIn profile, only to have to change it back in less time than it takes to boil an egg. Fans didn't even get to see what his tactics would look like. His entire reign lives only in the record books as one of the shortest managerial jobs in history. Marcelo Bielsa, Lazio, 2016. Bielsa, the football genius, signed for Lazio. Fans were thrilled, finally, the man with crazy pressing football was in charge. But Bielsa is Bielsa. He gave Lazio a list of transfer targets. The club didn't sign any of them. 2 days later, Bielsa faxed in his resignation before managing a single game. The club called it a sacking. Bielsa called it walking away. Whatever you call it, Lazio fans went from pure excitement to pure confusion in less than 48 hours. One of the strangest episodes in Serie A history. Frank de Boer, Crystal Palace, 2017. Now to the Premier League. Frank de Boer was brought in to revolutionize Palace with attractive football. 4 games later, he was gone. No goals scored. 4 defeats. It became the fastest sacking in Premier League history. Fans were stunned, but so was de Boer. He complained that he never even had time to implement his ideas. What made it weirder? Just months later, Roy Hodgson, his replacement, came in with old-school football, and Palace survived. Premier League and FA Cup double in 2010, Chelsea's first ever double. The next season, he finished second. Not bad, right? Well, Roman Abramovich didn't think so. Ancelotti was sacked, inside the stadium tunnel at Goodison Park, just minutes after the final whistle. Players were stunned. Fans couldn't believe it. The most relaxed manager in the world had just been dismissed in the least respectful way possible. In football, success has a short memory. What you did last season means nothing if you're not winning today. Andre Villas-Boas, Chelsea, 2012. Andre Villas-Boas came in as a young, ambitious coach, nicknamed the new Mourinho. But the Chelsea dressing room had big personalities: Terry, Lampard, Drogba. AVB tried to change everything: training methods, style, discipline. The players didn't like it. Rumors of a dressing room revolt grew. Results went badly. Abramovich listened to the players. Villas-Boas was gone. His assistant, Di Matteo, stepped up and went on to win the Champions League. Irony at its finest. Jose Mourinho, Chelsea, 2015. Mourinho, the self-proclaimed special one, won the league with Chelsea in 2015. The very next season, the team collapsed. He clashed with Hazard, Costa, and even the club doctor in a scandal that made global headlines. By December, Chelsea were near the relegation zone. Mourinho was sacked. The players' power had spoken again. For the second time, Mourinho's Chelsea reign ended not just because of results, but because he lost the dressing room. Paul Hart, QPR, 2010, 28 days, won 5 of his 6 games but still sacked because he fell out with the owners. Julen Lopetegui, Spain, 2018. This one is almost tragic. Spain were favorites for the 2018 World Cup. Lopetegui had them playing brilliant football. 2 days before the tournament, Real Madrid announced he would take over after the World Cup. The Spanish FA president was furious. He felt betrayed. So, with just 48 hours until their first match, Spain sacked Lopetegui. The team went into the World Cup in chaos, and crashed out early. A decision that shocked the football world, and possibly cost Spain a shot at glory. Thomas Tuchel, Chelsea, 2022. He delivered a Champions League and became a cult hero among fans. But new owner Todd Boehly didn't see eye to eye with him. Just a few games into the season, Tuchel was gone, shocking fans who thought he'd earned years of credit. Player power and board power collided here. Marcelo Bielsa, Marseille, 2015. Bielsa is known for being unpredictable, but even by his standards, this was shocking. After losing the first game of the season, he walked into the press conference, and resigned. Live, in front of reporters. The club had no idea it was coming. Fans were stunned. Players were speechless. The club looked like clowns. Only Bielsa could pull off such a dramatic exit. Nigel Adkins, Southampton, 2013, guided them from League One to the Premier League. Then sacked mid-season because the board wanted the season. Lesson learned. In football, sometimes it's safer to play ugly and survive, than try to play beautifully and get sacked in September. Guy Roux, Lens, 2007. Guy Roux was a legend. He spent over 40 years managing Auxerre, turning them into a respectable French club. At 68 years old, he decided to take over Lens. 4 games in, Lens fired him. Why? They thought he was too old to handle the pressure. Imagine dedicating 4 decades to football, only to be judged on your birth certificate instead of your ability. Roux wasn't even given time to prove otherwise. Bobby Gould, Wales, 1990s. Some sackings are strange, because the manager was even stranger. Bobby Gould's time with Wales is legendary for the wrong reasons. He picked bizarre squads, left out key stars, and constantly clashed with his own players. In one training session, he literally challenged striker John Hartson to a boxing match. At other times, players accused him of treating the national team like a circus. Eventually, the Welsh FA had enough. Fans later called his reign the most chaotic era in Welsh football history. His sacking wasn't just inevitable, it was a relief. Dave Bassett, Nottingham Forest, 1997. Dave Bassett's story feels like a sitcom. He didn't even find out about his sacking directly from the club. Instead, a journalist showed him a fax message announcing his dismissal. Imagine being the manager, preparing for the weekend match, when a reporter taps your shoulder and says, "Hey mate, you've been sacked." Football is brutal, but to be replaced by a fax machine, that's just cruel. In modern football, managers get texts, emails, or sometimes ghosted. But a fax, that one still takes the crown for the most ridiculous notification system in football. Roberto Di Matteo, Chelsea, 2012. Di Matteo's story is bittersweet. He took Chelsea, a team in chaos, to Champions League glory in 2012. He became a legend overnight, the first manager to deliver the big-eared trophy. But Roman Abramovich wanted more. He wanted stylish, attacking football. 6 months later, after a poor run of form, Di Matteo was sacked. Fans were heartbroken. Imagine delivering the biggest trophy in the club's history, only to be told, "Thanks, but no thanks." His sacking proved Chelsea was a club where even glory couldn't buy you time. Claudio Ranieri, Leicester City, 2017. The fairy tale man. Ranieri gave Leicester their first ever Premier League title. 5,000 to 1 odds, a miracle that inspired the whole world. Less than a year later, he was gone. The board claimed it was to save the club from relegation. But fans saw it as betrayal. The man who made history was shown the door. To make it worse, many suspected player unrest played a role. Reports suggested some senior players weren't happy with his tactics. Whether true or not, Ranieri's dismissal remains one of football's harshest sackings. England, 2012. Capello was one of the most respected coaches in world football. But his end with England didn't come from results, it came from politics. When John Terry was stripped of the England captaincy over a racism case, Capello publicly disagreed with the FA. He said Terry should still be captain. The FA didn't like that. Capello was sacked immediately. Just months before Euro 2012, England went into the tournament managerless, and underperformed again. Erik ten Hag, Bayer Leverkusen, 2025. After leaving Manchester United, Ten Hag barely lasted 3 competitive games at Leverkusen. 1 cup win, 2 poor Bundesliga results, and he was gone by September 1. Officially, the club claimed it was not feasible to build a successful team after losing their key stars. It went down as one of the shortest reigns in Bundesliga history. Brazil's 7-1 fallout, 2014. After Brazil's historic humiliation in the 2014 World Cup semi-final, losing 7-1 to Germany on home soil, the entire coaching staff were effectively forced out. Officially, some resigned, but everyone knew it was political. The Brazilian government and football federation needed someone to blame. The strangest part, Brazil actually rehired Dunga, a coach they had already sacked before. Only in football could a disaster like 7-1 lead to recycling old managers. Julian Nagelsmann, Bayern Munich, 2023. One of Europe's brightest young coaches, leading Bayern in the Champions League. Then suddenly, sacked mid-season while still in contention. Reports suggested dressing room politics, board disagreements, even skiing trips leaked to the media played a role. Bayern later admitted it was as much about personality clashes as results. So, what do we learn from all this? In football, being a manager is like living on a volcano. No matter how good you are, no matter how much you've won, the ground beneath you is always shaking. Sometimes you're sacked for losing. Sometimes you're sacked for winning. And sometimes, you're sacked before you've even unpacked your suitcase. Football is the most beautiful game in the world, but for managers, it's also the cruelest. If you enjoyed this deep dive into football's weirdest sackings, hit like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments, which one of these sackings shocked you the most. And did your club ever sack a manager in a strange way? I'll feature the best replies in the next video.